All right, so I decided to take a little break after fiddling around with that ZF controller, and it just dawned on me, another test I should do. I should check the min and max command signal voltage for the good one, which is the starboard side, and for the one that I just fiddled with, which is the port side. They really should line up so that as you move the levers together, both engine is getting the same signal, this much forward or this much reverse. Anyway, I'll get back to the boat and give that a try. Flashback. So when you first power on the ZF system, there is no control head that's got control, so basically it beeps complaining that there is no control. Little guy is beeping right now because there's nobody in control. You hit the take command button and the lights indicate that I've now got control at this station of both the port and starboard engines, and the beeping has stopped. So I started videoing a little late, as you can tell, but suffice it to say that when I hit the button on this particular control head on the flybridge, only the starboard engine, which is this one, would take control, and the port engine would not. It's probably hard to tell, but there's really not much in this control head. There are no chips, there's no CPUs, there's no microcontrollers. There's two potentiometers, one for each lever, a button, and a couple of LEDs, and then 8 lines going to port and to starboard. And this all works on voltage. What happens is the controller down in the engine room, it sends a reference voltage of 5 volts to the control heads. And then the control heads return a voltage indicating where they are. And basically in neutral position, it's going to return 49 to 51% of that input 5 volts. The reason they do percentages is there's voltage drop. So I'm actually only seeing 4.8 volts at the control head for this reference voltage, but I'm going to see half of that, or about 2.4 volts, to indicate that it's in neutral. And sure enough, on the starboard side, I see 2.4 volts across the command signal here. And on this side, I don't. I'll set up the voltmeter so you all can see that. Well, I really need some extra hands to do this, but I'm going to look at the reference voltage first. That is across the red and blue wire, and I'm getting about 4.8 volts. Now I'm looking at the command voltage across the red and green wire, and that's about half, 2.4 volts. And now I'm going to move the lever. This is the starboard engine, and I am moving astern right now. You see the voltage goes down, and if I move forward, you'll see the voltage goes up. So the processor in the engine room is looking at these voltages and deciding, oh, he wants to go forward, he wants to go reverse, he wants to go back into neutral. So what I've figured out for the port engine is this thing goes on top of the potentiometer shaft here and is eventually connected to this lever. And you move the lever, you move this thing, you move the potentiometer, you change the voltage going back on the command signal. And I was actually getting 3.2 volts approximately to the command signal when it was in neutral. And it wouldn't take command because it needs to be around 2.4 volts. So I took this apart. I was wondering, gosh, how do you set this thing? Because it looks like it's just offset. Well, there's this slot at the end of the potentiometer. So I'm going to put this all back together, and this is just an interference kind of friction fit. Once I put it back together, I can use this slot to dial in the 0 point, basically, the 2.4 volts point in the potentiometer, and line that up with the control head. .4, let's dial down a little bit. Well, that's really good. I bet it will take command now. Yeah, both lights came on. Look at that, both lights came on. So it took command. So this potentiometer inside of this little housing here, which is turned by the lever, has now been adjusted so that it's getting 2.4 volts in neutral position. So in hindsight, of course I didn't know this before, but all you really need to do is basically remove the lever, and inside of there, I don't know if you can see it, probably not. Anyway, inside of there you can get to that slot that lets you adjust the potentiometer with respect to this plastic housing. And that's literally all I needed to do. I'm going to go ahead and check the voltages now that I put it back together, make sure we're still good, and maybe I will have to adjust it. Reference voltage, command voltage. I'm going to go downstairs, take control, see if I can take control up here. Once I take control downstairs, you'll see those lights go off. All right, the lights are off. Let's hit the command button. And I got two lights. Good tone, as they say in Top Gun. My gosh, I really didn't have to take any of this apart. I didn't even have to take the control head off of here. I could have just popped off the lever and adjusted it. Now, the one thing a little tricky about this is got these ribbon cables, and you don't want to pinch them as you're putting this thing back together. Moment of truth. Bada bing. All right, so the lever is basically held on with this little bolt and then this cute little cover. So we'll go ahead and put that on. Obviously got to secure that down, but holy crap, that works. All right, just to summarize for the next guy. If you can reach the terminals underneath here, you want to check for around 5 volts across the red ground and the blue reference signal. And then in neutral, you want to look for about 2.5 volts across the red ground and the green command signal. Now that first voltage might be a little low because of voltage drop across the cable, depending on how long it is, but the second voltage, the command signal, which is basically telling the controller I want forward, reverse, or whatever, the command signal should be half the voltage of the reference signal that reaches this control head. If it's not, you can A, take off this little sticker, B, remove this screw, stick some kind of thin flathead in there until it falls in the slot, which is on the head of the potentiometer shaft, and slowly dial it until you get half the reference voltage, or about 2.5 volts. Obviously, if you have a voltmeter connected to the terminals underneath, that's super duper helpful. All right, well, I am pleasantly surprised that I was able to figure out what's going on with that ZF control head on the flybridge and actually get it to work. Yeah, I need to clean all this, don't look at that. That said, the million-dollar question is, why did the potentiometer get offset from the lever on the control head? I have no idea. If anything in there looked a little grimy, corrody, wetty, whatever, I would have just trashed the unit. But everything in there looked beautiful, actually. So I'm going to try this adjustment, and we'll see how it goes. All right, the phrase "we'll see how it goes" as far as controlling your throttle is probably not the best thing. Normally, we control the boat down there from the main helm. So we're only going to use this when we're fiddling around, cruising near coastal, until we've got some pretty good confidence in it. Well, I've got two new boat neighbors today. This really beautiful Boreal 47 bare aluminum hull, and then a nice Marlowe, probably around 50, I guess. Anyway, they're both really beautiful boats. Man, I'm so happy that I figured out a little bit with that ZF controller thing. Can't wait till the next time we go out so we can give it a shot and see how it works. And now that I know that there's an adjustment point, boy, I'm so happy to have found that. So I have a recurring dream that I can no longer throw a football. Every time I try to do it, it just goes end over end. I haven't thrown a football in 15 years, so who knows if it's true. He's got 6 rod holders, look at that. It sure is cute walking around this little Yorktown, older Yorktown area. Not many buildings or structures here, but they're all super cute. None of them are truly original because everything kind of burned down back after that Revolutionary War victory sometime, but still everything was rebuilt in a very nice way.